This is a dish that has retained its status as a culinary favorite in Turkey since the Ottoman Empire. Today I'd like to share my take on Karnıyarık, stuffed eggplant boats. Salam, Nail here. The word Karnıyarık translates to split belly. It may sound a bit graphic, but as we take a closer look at the dish, I think it's quite a fitting description. But more on that later. Here I have 6 slender elongated eggplants, each measuring around 20 centimeters in length. This size and variety work best for this dish. If you can't find this type and only have broader, larger eggplants available, you can use them too. Just make sure to halve the eggplants, as otherwise you'll have too much eggplant in the final dish, which might result in an overpowering eggplant flavor. To start, I'll peel the eggplant in a striped pattern and soak them in cold salted water for approximately half an hour. In theory, this process serves the purpose of drawing out the bitterness from the eggplants. In the past, some eggplant varieties were in fact mildly toxic due to their solanine content, a bitter alkaloid. However, modern eggplant varieties contain significantly less solanine and are safe to consume. Nevertheless, they can still have a bitter taste, which is why this process continues to be practiced. After half an hour, I'll remove the eggplants from the water and pat them dry. Now we have 2 options to choose from. We can either fry the eggplants in oil, which is the traditional way, but can be heavy on the stomach. Alternatively, we can opt for the modern option and approach and roast the eggplants in the oven. This method is light on the digestion and allows the eggplants to soak up a delicious sauce instead of the frying oil. Eggplants indeed have a sponge-like structure and are highly absorbent. This means that when they are fried, they soak up a lot of oil. However, I want to make use of this absorbency to infuse more flavor into the eggplant, specifically the flavor of the sauce in which they'll ultimately be cooked. For this, I coat the eggplants with olive oil and a touch of salt, and then place them on a baking sheet. Next, I place the sheet in a preheated oven set at 180 degrees centigrade. The eggplants will stay in the oven for half an hour, and I'll turn them once at the halfway mark. While the eggplants are in the oven, I begin preparing the stuffing. I begin by sautéing a finely chopped large onion, a green pepper and half a chili until the onion becomes translucent. Then I add 300 grams of ground beef using 50 grams per eggplant. Once the meat is no longer pink, I stir in 1 teaspoon each of tomato paste and paprika paste. After another minute, I add 1 crushed clove of garlic and stir for about 30 seconds until the garlic's aroma is released. I smell the sweet aroma of the garlic, which means it's time to add the tomato. So I add a peeled and diced tomato to the mix, lid on and let it cook for a minute. Now all that's left are the spices, salt, pepper and paprika powder. I give it a good stir, then I pour a bit of water over it and let it simmer for a couple of minutes. While it simmers, I make sure to flip the eggplants in the oven. Alright, I taste the filling one more time. It's exactly how I like it, so the filling's done. By the way, there is also a vegetarian version of this dish, which has also a catchy name, İmam Bayıldı. If you know what that means, feel free to write it in the comments below. After half an hour, the eggplants should look like this, slightly browned and soft from the outside, since they are not fully cooked yet. I let them cool for a moment while I grate the cheese. Okay, done. I briefly set the cheese aside and return to the now more manageable eggplants. I transfer the eggplants to a baking dish and arrange them with the side I intend to fill facing upwards. Now we come to the part that gives this dish its name, the splitting of the belly, that of the eggplant of course. I proceed to gently open the sliced eggplants, pushing the flesh towards the inner wall to make room for the filling. If there are any seeds in the eggplant, I remove them at this point, but mine are fine. Then I season the insides of the eggplants with salt and pepper. I leave it as is for a while to allow the flavors to infuse, and in the meantime I can prepare the sauce in which the stuffed eggplants will be cooked. The sauce is quite easy to make. I start by sauteing a generous teaspoon of tomato paste and pepper paste and a bit of olive oil. Then I add 1 garlic clove to the pan. Alright, I smell the garlic, so I deglaze it with 500 milliliters of chicken stock, add salt, pepper and bay leaves. Back to the eggplants, as it's time to focus on the filling. Carefully fill the eggplants with the mixture and gently press to ensure the interior is well filled. I add the sauce right next to the eggplants, then I generously top them with cheese and put it into the oven at 210 degrees centigrade for about 45 minutes. For the first 30 minutes, I cover the dish to prevent the top of the eggplants from drying out. Then, in the last 15 minutes, I remove the cover and move the eggplants directly under the broiler to caramelize the cheese. Sometimes pictures speak louder than words. Alright, let's get ready to plate this up. I spread a spoonful of the sauce on a plate. Onto that goes the eggplant, and on top of that, I sprinkle finely chopped parsley for garnish. Traditionally, this dish is served with rice, salad and tzatziki, just as I'm doing today. It's an absolutely delicious experience that I can recommend with a satisfied heart and a full stomach. Thank you for watching, and peace be upon you. If you enjoyed the video, I would greatly appreciate your subscription and a like. And if you would like to see more stuffed vegetable recipes such as dolma, feel free to click here.